Hello, and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles. This is a platform where we share stories of love, loss, and the twists and turns that life can bring. Please subscribe to support us and stay tuned for more captivating chronicles. I'm sitting in my car, parked outside of AP's house, feeling a whirlwind of emotions as I prepare to confront my wife's affair partner. It's been a roller coaster of a journey since I first discovered my wife's affair 3 months ago. She apologized profusely and expressed a desire to save our marriage, so we embarked on a path of couples and individual counseling. She's been saying all the right things, assuring me of her love and commitment to fixing our relationship. She even gave me access to her phone as a gesture of transparency. But there have been lingering doubts, and I recently discovered that she's still in contact with the affair partner despite her promises of going no contact. I've been discreetly monitoring their communication, and it's become clear that she's deleting their texts from her phone. However, what she may not realize is that those messages are still accessible on her iPad. So, here I am, parked outside his house, waiting for a chance to confront him and get some answers. My emotional state is a mess. I've kept this secret for too long, and it's time to confront the truth. I plan to serve for divorce papers tomorrow, but before I do, I need to confront this affair partner and see if he can shed light on the lies and deceit that have plagued our relationship. Last night was just another night in our seemingly normal routine. We had dinner, put the kids to bed, and sat in our bedroom watching TV in silence. It's almost as if we were living a facade. She eventually announced she was going to bed and left, leaving me with my thoughts. Today, we had a marriage counseling session scheduled over the lunch hour, which is why I've chosen today to confront this affair partner. It's time to face the truth and move forward, even though the emotional turmoil is almost unbearable. As I sat down for the counseling session, I didn't waste any time. I had already informed our therapist about my intention to confront the affair partner. The tension in the room was palpable as I began speaking. I talked to the affair partner yesterday, I said, and my wife's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. Yeah, I talked to him too, she replied cautiously. Yeah, I know. I don't get it. Why would you go talk to him? I asked pointedly. Because I needed answers to some questions I had, and you weren't being honest with me. The therapist intervened, asking what the affair partner had revealed. Oh yeah? Well, what did he tell you, honey? She responded, her voice quivering. He sold you down the river, I replied bluntly, not mincing words. She asked what that meant, and I didn't hold back. He told me everything about what you guys have been doing, the sneaking around, the secret meetings, the lovey-dovey phone calls, everything, I said, my frustration evident. He told you everything? She asked, her voice breaking. I then went on to list out all the details I already knew about their texts, calls, meetings, dates, and times. She couldn't hold back the tears any longer. It became crystal clear to me that while she had been in therapy telling me one thing, her actions told a completely different story. So, I'm done, I declared, my voice unwavering. What do you mean, you're done? She stammered, her eyes welling up with tears. Handing over the divorce papers. I want a divorce, I stated firmly. She took the paperwork in her hands as if it were a venomous snake and stared at it, clearly overwhelmed. She then looked to the therapist for help, desperately seeking a way to fix this. I don't want a divorce. I want you. I want our life. I want to stay, she pleaded. The therapist chimed in, addressing the conflict between her words and actions. Do you see where confronting the affair partner is coming from when your actions contradict your words? You always believe the actions, not the words. Your actions have told me all I need to know, I explained, my anger and betrayal palpable. The rest of the session took an unexpectedly cordial turn, with tears on both sides. I expressed the deep sense of betrayal and anger I felt that she would continue this affair behind my back, while she cried because her entire life, as she knew it, was crumbling before her eyes. As we walked out of the therapist's office, she reached for my hand in one last desperate attempt to gain my forgiveness. I pulled my hand away and told her in no uncertain terms that I was done and did not want her in my life anymore. She fell to the ground sobbing, and I left her there. Driving away from the therapist's office, I called the affair partner's wife and left her a voicemail, saying, I really need to speak with you. Please call me ASAP. I then called my attorney and instructed her to file the paperwork for the divorce, but to hold off unless things got ugly. My phone rang several times with calls and texts from my wife after I left, but I let them go to voicemail, unable to bring myself to listen to them. I felt like a shell of myself as I drove to her parents' house. Just before I walked in, my phone rang again. It was the affair partner's wife calling me back. He hadn't said anything to her. I requested a face-to-face meeting, and she agreed. We set a time and place to meet up in an hour. Walking into her parents' house, I braced myself for the emotional storm that was about to erupt. Her mom broke down in tears immediately, and her dad remained stone-faced. I felt a mix of sympathy and frustration as I told them everything. I love her, and I tried to make it work, I began, but I refused to stand there while she continues to cheat on me behind my back. Their reactions were hard to read, given the shock of the revelation. I made it clear that I wouldn't slander her or spread the truth to our friends and family, but they needed to know why we were divorcing. I emphasized that I didn't expect their support in this matter, but they needed to be prepared for what lay ahead. This was all about our children, and I couldn't allow them to live in squalor during their time with her. I knew her parents could and would support her financially. Before leaving, I told them that I loved them and would miss our relationship. Her dad and I shook hands, and I hugged her mom. Then, I drove to the meeting place to meet the affair partner's wife, my emotions a turbulent mix of anger and sadness. As I sat in the car, waiting for the affair partner's wife to arrive, I steeled myself for the difficult conversation ahead. I planned to tell her everything, even showing her the evidence if necessary. Her reactions would guide the next steps. No one should have to endure this alone. When she arrived, it was evident that she sensed something was amiss. She tried to maintain a friendly facade, but I could see through it. With a heavy heart, I began, "I have something I need to tell you. It's not going to be easy, and I'm truly sorry for what you're about to hear. My wife and your husband have been having an affair." Her reaction was immediate and visceral. She began sobbing uncontrollably. I continued, explaining how I had discovered the affair 3 months ago and how we had been going for marriage counseling to salvage our relationship. She listened intently until I mentioned that they were still seeing each other, at which point she broke down again. I had to pause for a moment. Tears welled up as I wrote this, knowing the pain I was causing her by sharing this truth. She didn't deserve any of this, and I felt an overwhelming sense of guilt for having to tell her. She admitted that she had wondered why I had called her but had no inkling that the affair had been ongoing, that it involved my wife, or that they had continued their relationship even after being discovered. The affair partner's wife's world was utterly shattered by the revelation, and when I offered to show her the video, she initially thought it was an intimate recording of the two of them, which disgusted her. However, I quickly clarified that it was a video of my conversation with her husband. After some consideration, she decided she wanted to see it. I had taken the time to edit the video down, condensing the roughly 20-minute conversation into a concise 60-second clip. As I played it for her, she began crying as soon as she saw his face. I paused it to make sure she was sure about watching it, and then I let it play out. At that point, there wasn't much more to be said. I expressed my sincere apologies for being the one to deliver this painful truth to her. She thanked me for opening her eyes, and I assured her that I understood the overwhelming emotion she was experiencing because I had gone through the same 3 months ago. I offered my support, telling her that if she needed someone to talk to, vent to, or even scream obscenities at, she could call me, and I would be there for her. She expressed her gratitude, we hugged, and we left it at that. I couldn't predict her next steps, but I had a feeling it wouldn't bode well for the affair partner. I truly felt sorry for her and for her children. Afterward, I got back in my car and headed home, where my phone had been incessantly ringing during our conversation. My soon-to-be ex-wife had been desperately trying to reach me since I left her earlier in the day. Upon arriving home, I found her sitting in the driveway, smoking, and as soon as she saw my car, she began screaming. I decided to start recording the interaction with my phone, discreetly placing it in my shirt's front pocket to capture everything. She accused me of telling her parents about the affair, hurling insults at me. I calmly responded, "Yes, I did. They deserve to know the truth about why we are divorcing. I didn't lie or make anything up, I told them the truth, and I told them that they should love and support you through all of this." Her rage quickly transformed into sobbing, and she kept apologizing, asking what she could do to fix things and telling me she never wanted any of this to happen. I listened to her, but when she finally ran out of things to say, I made it clear that I had already said everything I needed to say at the therapist's office earlier that day. I told her that I would pick up the kids from school and handle dinner. However, I informed her that she could not stay at the house that night and suggested she stay with her parents. With that, I left her in the driveway and went inside to prepare for the next steps in this tumultuous journey. The emotional roller coaster continued as my soon-to-be ex-wife got angry when I mentioned that she couldn't stay at the house that night. She asserted her right to see the children, but I calmly explained that I didn't intend to keep her from them. I expressed concern about her emotional state and how it might affect the kids, suggesting that she tell them she's staying with her parents for a few days to help out due to her father's illness and her brother needing assistance around the house. She began sobbing again, and my heart ached for her. I saw the person I once loved, the woman I married, in such a raw and vulnerable state. I hugged her and offered my condolences for the difficult situation we were both facing. However, I also made it clear that her choices had brought us to this point, and I couldn't continue in a marriage where I was treated this way. We stood there, embracing for a long time, with her crying into my shoulder. Eventually, she pulled away and attempted to kiss me, but I declined, telling her it wasn't going to happen. She broke down again, and I turned and walked into the house. I retreated to the kitchen and poured myself a stiff drink to try to cope with the emotional turmoil. After a while, I heard her come into the house, and I could tell she was packing a bag. She found me in the kitchen with her suitcase packed, and in a teary outburst, she told me, "I hope you're happy." My response was honest but somber. "I'm not happy at all. I didn't want this. I wanted you. I wanted us. I wanted a wife who would love me and treat me with kindness, and instead, I got this. So, no, I'm not happy at all." She protested, questioning why I wasn't fighting for our marriage and throwing away everything we had. I clarified that it was she who had thrown everything away when she went back to the affair partner. I refused to engage with her as she hurled obscenities my way. When she realized I wouldn't respond, she left, slamming the door so hard that it knocked a picture frame off the wall in the back hallway. I remained in the kitchen, replaying the video of her outburst. I knew that having video evidence could be important for my legal protection if things escalated further. Afterward, I picked up the kids from school and brought them home. I explained that their mom would be staying with their grandparents for a few days. They were understandably sad but didn't ask many questions. We spent time together, had dinner, and got ready for bed. As I write this, the house is quiet, and I realize how much I miss the noise of our family life. I pour myself a few more drinks before heading to bed, bracing myself for the challenges that lie ahead. I talked to the affair partner's wife on Friday, and she told me that she's not ready to end their marriage. They're committed to staying together and are undergoing counseling to try and make things work. They have children together, and I completely understand her desire to save her marriage. After all, I did the same thing when I was in her shoes. Their kids don't know about the affair, and I genuinely wish them the best. I hope they can salvage their relationship. She asked me not to contact her while they work on their issues, and I fully intend to respect her wishes. My wife and I had another therapy appointment on Friday, and we focused exclusively on how to tell our kids about the impending divorce. During this session, she repeatedly begged me not to go through with the divorce. I reminded her that she made that decision for me when she returned to the affair partner after I explicitly told her not to. She tried to explain that they hadn't been intimate again after I found out, and she didn't divulge the details of our situation with him. However, when confronted with the evidence, she broke down and admitted that she knew what she was doing was wrong but didn't think about the consequences. She confided in the affair partner because she felt she couldn't talk to anyone else about it, not even me, her husband, whom she was supposed to be working things out with. Even when I briefly consider forgiving her and giving our relationship another chance, I keep coming back to the lies and deception. She continues to dig herself into a deeper hole, lying about sleeping with the affair partner and the details of her conversations with him. It's become second nature to her, and I know I can never trust her again. Her lies roll off her tongue as if she genuinely believes they are the truth, but I'm informed enough to see through them. So, even in the moments when I'm tempted to embrace her, kiss her, and tell her everything will be okay, I'm reminded of her lies, which keeps me focused on moving forward separately. We told the kids about the divorce on Friday night, and it was an agonizing experience. They completely understand what's happening, and they are a mess emotionally. They're angry at her for having a boyfriend and at me for leaving their mom. She really didn't want me to mention that she had a boyfriend, but I stood firm on that part. The kids have their first therapy appointment on Friday, and I'm hopeful that it will help them start working through their emotions regarding the entire situation. Balancing the role of a disciplinarian while allowing my children to express their grief, anger, and confusion during this tumultuous time is an ongoing challenge. I constantly remind them that it's okay to be angry, to yell, and to cry, but it's not okay to destroy their toys or lash out in harmful ways. The cohabitation situation with my soon-to-be ex-wife remains in place as we work on a plan for who will move out and when we will sell the house. Financially, I can't afford to keep it while also managing child support and alimony, regardless of the final amounts. Unfortunately, the housing market in our area isn't favorable at the moment, so we've agreed to wait until spring to put the house up for sale, hoping for a better price. The upcoming Christmas season looms, and I admit I'm struggling to find the motivation to put up decorations. Celebrating something right now feels foreign to me, but I'm determined to create a sense of normalcy for the kids. I just need to find the time and emotional strength to retrieve the tree from storage and set it up. Regarding our living arrangements, she's currently sleeping on the couch. As much as I'd like to be the bigger person and offer her our bed, I can't bring myself to do it. I've installed a lock on the bedroom door and use it every morning to prevent her from accessing my personal belongings. For now, she's using the guest room and keeping some of her clothes in a suitcase. You might call it petty or view it as a dick move, but it's my way of asserting boundaries. She left me, and I'm choosing to sleep in my own bed at night while letting her manage on the couch. As of now, our household is relatively peaceful. We're barely talking, and when we do, it's primarily related to the kids, and our conversations are brief and to the point. While I suspect there might be more going on beneath the surface with her, as there always seems to be, for the moment, she's being amicable. During this phase everything remains cordial, respectful, and genial. The tension that was high during the first week has considerably subsided as we all settle into our new, albeit challenging, normalcy. Surprisingly, there's a glimmer of hope in this situation as we continue to handle things amicably. Despite all that my soon-to-be ex-wife put me through, we've generally been respectful towards each other, which gives me some optimism for the future. We had a heartwarming experience when we put up the Christmas decorations. The kids had an absolute blast, and we all got into the holiday spirit. We played Christmas music, watched holiday movies, and didn't take anything too seriously. Even my soon-to-be ex-wife got involved since she's still living in the house. While I couldn't exactly prevent her from helping, we managed to create some positive memories during this challenging time. On another note, the kids' therapy sessions are progressing well. The initial meeting involved a lot of paperwork and getting to know the therapist. The kids were a bit reserved, perhaps partly due to the fact that both my soon-to-be ex-wife and I were in the room. However, the second session seemed much more productive. We started with a group discussion and then the therapist requested some time alone with the kids. During this private session, the children shared their feelings, expressing sadness and uncertainty about our divorce. They made it clear that they didn't want us to split up and didn't want to live in separate houses. Here comes the tricky part. My soon-to-be ex-wife unexpectedly broke down and said she didn't want a divorce either. I couldn't believe my ears and was on the verge of saying something I might regret. However, I managed to hold back and simply said, "Are you kidding me?" I bit my tongue and didn't elaborate further. It felt like I was merely echoing her sentiments. Eventually, I asked the therapist if we could speak to her privately in the last 5 minutes of the session. She agreed, and as soon as the kids left the room, the therapist unleashed on my wife. She told her that she was being manipulative, painting me as the bad guy, and that she needed to stop if we were going to successfully co-parent in the future. The therapist made it clear that if my wife genuinely didn't want a divorce, she should have thought about the consequences of her actions during her affair. It was honestly everything I wanted to say but couldn't. I found some satisfaction in knowing the therapist wasn't afraid to address the issue. That night, my soon-to-be ex-wife apologized to me for what was said in therapy and promised to be more considerate of her words and their impact on the kids moving forward. It was about all I could hope for, given the circumstances. Work was going well, and our Christmas preparations were on track. But then there's the exception to my resolve, and it's quite a significant one. I accidentally slept with my wife. Let's rewind to the night we decorated for Christmas. It had been a great day. We all had a wonderful time watching movies and enjoying each other's company. It felt just like the good times before all the problems started. After we put the kids to bed, we settled down to finish watching It's a Wonderful Life, her favorite Christmas movie. We'd both been sipping on eggnog and brandy throughout the evening, and between the warm feelings and the warm brandy, I didn't realize how much it was affecting my judgment. She leaned over and kissed my neck softly, and before I knew it, things escalated, and we ended up being intimate. I wish I could say that I wasn't thinking, "Don't do this," but I was aware of it. I just went against my better judgment and let it happen. It had been so long since she and I had been together, and I know I wasn't in my right mind, but that's no excuse. It was great, and we both had a fun time. However, as I lay there afterward, I couldn't help but feel disgusted with myself for doing it. After all that had happened, her betrayals, and all the progress I had made, I was furious at myself for going against my resolve. That night, I made it clear to her that it didn't change anything between us, that I still wanted a divorce. I emphasized that it couldn't happen again, and we weren't going back to the way things were. She agreed, or at least she said she did, but with her, you can never be sure. I haven't had the chance to discuss it with my therapist or our marriage counselor, with whom we're still meeting. I also need to get an STD test because I'm uncertain whether she picked up something from her affair partner. I don't have to worry about a surprise pregnancy since I had a vasectomy several years ago, but the rest of it just boggles my mind. How could I have been so stupid and let my guard down? I'm sorry if this disappoints anyone. I'm not perfect, and I'm mad at myself for what happened. I won't let it happen again. My wife and I ultimately decided to try and make things work, and I understand that might disappoint some of you. I've grappled with feelings of disappointment in myself for most of the past year. We're not back to 100%, and I'm not sure if we ever will be, but things are undoubtedly better. To reach this point, we went through about 9 months of intense therapy, both individually and together, along with therapy for our kids. We both had to be willing to forgive and move forward. Frankly, it's something of a miracle that we made it this far. I made it clear that we couldn't be sleeping together again. We continued to attend couples therapy, and she started opening up about what she was thinking and feeling, what led her to reconnect with that affair partner, and the changes that had occurred in both of us. Around March, it became evident that something had shifted in our relationship. We weren't just going through the motions, we were honestly communicating with each other. She had deep-seated fears of losing herself in the roles of a wife and mother. She felt like something was missing and sought it outside of our marriage. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't falling for a con. I genuinely believe she was lost and searching for something she felt was missing. Yes, she should have looked for it within our relationship, but she didn't. I've forgiven her for that. I expressed all my hurt, pain, and the shattering of my trust. I was still fearful of getting hurt again, and to some extent, I still am. I know that anything can happen in life, but I've let go of my need to control everything. I've placed my faith in her and in our relationship that she will never betray me again. Personally, I find great comfort in having a plan. Knowing what I need to do if I ever have doubts about her loyalty or find evidence of cheating again gives me strength. It allows me to put the hurt behind me. 4 months, her infidelity and lies consumed my thoughts. Now, I rarely think about it anymore. She hasn't spoken to, reached out to, or checked on the affair partner in over a year. I know this because I have access to her phone, laptop, and Facebook messages, which she agreed to let me have for a while. While I was tempted to check her stuff every day, that desire gradually faded. I made sure to do it randomly and without warning, just in case. It's been about 2 months since I last checked, and I don't think I'll do it again unless something raises my suspicions. Therapy played a significant role in helping me overcome these issues. I haven't spoken to the affair partner or his wife since I last reached out to her in December of last year. Frankly, I'm okay with that. I can see on Facebook that they're still married, but I don't dwell on it or check their profiles often. I've muted her posts to prevent them from appearing in my newsfeed, and the last time I checked was probably 3 to 4 months ago. I just don't care about their lives anymore. We distanced ourselves from the group of friends we were once part of and made new friendships. Friendships, well, they underwent a transformation too. It's not that the old friendships were outright toxic, but those couples had different priorities that didn't align with who we wanted to be as a couple. They were very social and outgoing, often involving excessive drinking, drug use, bragging about money, and social positioning. While they were nice people, they ultimately weren't the kind of friends we wanted to spend our time with. Our new group of friends is fantastic. They're still social and outgoing, but without the excessive drinking and drugs. There's more focus on family, and the overall atmosphere is more positive. A clear example of this change was our New Year's Eve celebrations. In 2018, we spent it with our old group and woke up on New Year's Day hungover and feeling worthless. In contrast, we spent New Year's Eve this year with our new group, had a great time, and still got home early enough to enjoy ourselves and our kids on New Year's Day. Our kids know that we're staying together. We decided over the summer, June/July, to put the divorce proceedings on hold. Originally scheduled for March or April, we chose to push it back. Going through the list of our belongings and trying to decide who got what was tough, but it also contributed to both her willingness to open up and make things work and my willingness to give it another shot. We explained to our kids that sometimes mommies and daddies need to work through difficult things, and that's what we were going to do. She moved back into our bedroom in August, and I took the lock off the door. Life isn't perfect, but it's better, and it keeps improving every day. On Christmas, she expressed how sorry she is for everything she put me through when her commitment to rebuilding my trust and love. I do love her, probably now more than ever. I've come to understand how couples can make it through something like this. We're planning a family vacation together this spring during the kids' school break, and we're all looking forward to it. We still meet with our couples therapist weekly and continue with regular individual therapy outside of our couple sessions. Our marriage counselor told us she's amazed at how we've handled this and continue to do the work to heal the fractures in our marriage. It wasn't easy for a long time, but it's easier now than it was. I want to be as clear as possible about what we did to heal. I'm no expert, but this is what worked for us. Therapy, we engaged in both individual and couples therapy. Therapy helped me understand my shortcomings as a man, husband, and father. It provided clarity and inner peace and helped me regain lost confidence. For individual therapy helped her identify and address her own shortcomings as a wife and mother, enabling her to decide whether reconciliation was genuinely what she wanted. Open communication, we opened up and honestly discussed our feelings, fears, and doubts. It was crucial to understanding each other's perspectives and moving forward. Putting divorce on hold, delaying the divorce proceedings allowed us time to work through our issues without the added pressure of separation looming over us. New friendships, we transitioned to a more positive social circle, which reduced external negative influences and provided a healthier support system. Commitment to change, we both committed to making necessary changes within ourselves and our relationship, ensuring that history wouldn't repeat itself. Remember, this is what worked for us, and each situation is unique. The path to healing is different for every couple, but we hope our experience can provide some insight or inspiration for others going through similar challenges. Our couples therapy helped us figure out the path to healing and what our lives could look like on the other side. We both committed to working towards that common goal, buying in fully, and doing the necessary work outside of therapy to rebuild our relationship. Here are some of the key steps we took. Radical honesty, we committed to being radically honest with each other. When either of us felt something, we communicated it openly. We didn't keep our feelings inside, we expressed them. When she was talking to me, I put aside all distractions and really listened to her, and she did the same for me. Daily check-ins, every night, after putting the kids to bed, we sat down and checked in with each other. We discussed our day, made plans for the next day, and shared how we were feeling about each other. These conversations were challenging initially but became second nature over time. Nightly check-ins became something we looked forward to, and they significantly improved our relationship. Asking each other questions, we went back to the phase when we first started dating. Even though we had been together for a long time and had changed as individuals, we found lists of questions online to ask each other. These ranged from simple preferences like favorite colors to deeper questions about our values and beliefs. Rediscovering each other in this way was enjoyable and helped us connect on a deeper level. Acts of service, we found a Christian-based guide to repairing a marriage after infidelity that included acts of service for your partner. These acts ranged from simple gestures like writing notes or doing chores to more extravagant ones like planning date nights or taking a weekend away together. These acts of service gradually rebuilt my trust in her and reignited my love for her. Stop dwelling on it. I actively chose not to engage in thoughts that took me to dark places. Instead, I redirected my energy towards positive activities such as working out, going for a run, watching something funny on TV, or spending time with the kids. Over time, I stopped thinking about the betrayal regularly, and it consumed less and less of my thoughts. I'm not preaching or claiming that this path is right for everyone. Every situation is unique, and some couples shouldn't be together. I couldn't judge your situation better than you can judge mine from the outside. However, I genuinely believe that we'll be together for the long haul. Our journey involved a lot of hard work, but it was worth it to rebuild our relationship and find a way forward. I completely understand my need to step away from this account and the discussions related to my past experiences. It's important to prioritize my emotional well-being and my relationship's healing process. Leaving the account active for others who may benefit from the discussion is a thoughtful gesture. Remember, healing is a personal journey, and it's perfectly okay to take breaks, set boundaries, and focus on what's best for me and my family. If I ever need support or have more questions in the future, I won't hesitate to reach out when I'm ready. Wishing us continued progress, strength, and happiness in our journey together. Take care. Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please consider subscribing our channel as it helps and motivates us to continue our work.